Well, hi everyone. Welcome to Computer Science Discoveries. This is Computer Science Discoveries 2. It is mainly built for the 8th grade class, and this has 4 units also to it, Unit 4, 5, and 6. Unit 4 deals with apps and building apps and how they are used in today's society. Unit 5 deals with data and how data is used to create your apps. And Unit 6 deals with a circuit board, how to program a circuit board to make it play music, lights, and some other little goodies that go along with that circuit board. We've decided, though, however, rather than going right into Unit 4 and the apps, we felt that the data portion of the unit, Unit 5, is a good lead into the apps because in the end, you built your algorithm to create your apps. So we will be starting with Unit 5 today. Okay, Unit 5 is Data and Society. And the first lesson is called Representation Matters. Okay, in Representation Matters, the first part of the data unit, you're going to create an overview of how it is used to solve problems. If you want to go ahead and go to Unit 5 in code.org and go to lesson 1, that's where we will start. It's a very short lesson as far as your computer goes, but there is an activity guide. Make sure you pull up the activity guide. And also with that activity guide is a reference sheet. We'll be referring to both of those as we go through and do a little project. All right, so the first lesson provides an overview of what data and how it is used to solve problems. If you look at the overview in lesson 1, you can see that it's right there at the top. You won't be using groups because you are by yourself if you are using this video. So you will use data to set up and make a series of meal recommendations for people with various criteria. Afterwards, groups compare. Well, you won't be able to have a group, so we'll compare it together with our responses and discuss how the different representations of the meal data affected how you were able to solve the different problems. All right, so first of all, let's discuss data. What is data? Data is everything that you get in all that you do every single day to draw conclusions. You are drawing conclusions based on data, whether it is something you see in front of you, whether it's something that you hear, whether it's something you read. The data comes from all different aspects, and you make conclusions based on that data. And so when you do create that conclusion, you are drawing something from the data, which is kind of the whole idea of this unit. What do you do with data? How do you come up with answers, come up with conclusions, come up with ideas? And that is the whole idea of the data unit. Okay, it is probably the slower of the units. I'll admit that. Gathering data isn't always the easiest thing. It isn't always the fun thing. But I will be walking you through the whole Unit 5 with these videos. So if you need help, just stop the video, go back and read it again or listen to it again. Okay, so let's go ahead and first of all, let's pull up the activity guide that we're going to be using. Okay, first of all, here's the activity guide. So make sure you have that. And then I'll also pull up the representation guide. Okay, so I'm going to put them side by side on my screen, so hopefully you can see both of them. The activity guide says it's recommending a meal. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at a couple different things. Number one, we have some people with special needs. Okay, these people with special needs can only have certain things in their diet. We are given 4 pictures of different foods, and on these foods, we have to draw conclusions based on what we see, what we read in the menu, what we see for nutrition value, and then also what we think the cost might be. Now, today I'm only going to have you do 2 of them. And I'll pick the 2 as we kind of go along to see which one's easier. The first one will be recommending a meal based on sight. The next one, I think what we'll do is we'll probably base it on maybe the nutrition value, because when you choose prices, we all know that prices, are more or less affecting our wallet than they are anything else. So let's go ahead and choose sight first. So if we were to look at those things, okay, let's first of all look at our activity guide, recommending a meal. You and your group, which is you and I, will be recommending meals for several people based on a set of data. Okay, each person will tell you something to help you decide which meal is the best. You'll need to work with your group, or you'll be able to work with yourself to recommend a meal, then explain your choice based on the data you have given. So you and I will talk about it a little bit. I will give you my opinion and what the data has, or what the code.org has based their data on, and their conclusion. Your data is on a separate page. Okay, so here we go. From this, first of all, let's take a look at, by looking at it. Okay, the first person, I'm allergic to eggs. If I was to look at those pictures, based on being allergic to eggs, let's go by process of elimination. Which one would I not want? Obviously, number 4, it has eggs floating on the top of it, so that would be definitely one that we would not recommend. I would look at number 1 and think, okay, it's pasta. It looks like it might have a little sauce with that. Are there eggs in it? We really don't know, do we? It's hard to say. So we might give that a question mark. Number 2 is a bowl of soup. The soup is something that doesn't usually have eggs in it if you have soup, but it's not always best way to, a good way to look at it, just by looking at it and saying, that doesn't have eggs or it does have eggs. We don't really know for sure. So we might put a question mark with that one. Now, the third one, whenever you make it looks like a dessert of some kind, a custard, hard to say what that is. It's hard to say whether it contains eggs or not. So by process of elimination, if this person's allergic to eggs, 4's out, 3 I would not recommend, and 1 just because I'm not real sure of what might be in there. 2 would be the safest bet. I would say go with 2, and having the soup being the safer of the 4. What they had said was it probably looks like soup, so it probably doesn't have eggs in it. Maybe 1 and 4, but definitely not 4, because 4 has eggs. Okay, we already said that. We know that. Okay, let's go on to the next one. My doctor says to eat less sodium. Which of those meals might have less sodium in it? All right, if we look at the pasta, pasta does have sodium in the sauce. So there's probably salt in that. Soup usually has sodium in it. Soup just has a broth that usually has salt within that. 3, and not knowing exactly what that is, I would say that probably has a little salt in it too. Number 4, though, eggs and looks like a tomato-based sauce. I would say that might be the best bet. So let's check it out and see what the code.org people say. They say number 4. 4 would be the one with less sodium. So less sodium, we would go with number 4. And their reasoning is it's tortilla chips. I don't see tortilla chips in there, but it says it has tortilla chips, which are salty. Oh, number 1, I'm sorry. Number 1 has tortilla chips in it, which are salty. Number 2 is soup, which is salty. And 4 looks like the least saltiest and less sodium. So what we had said was true according to code.org. Okay, let's go to the next one. I'm trying to save money. Well, let's see. Based on what we see, can we tell which one is probably the cheaper of the 4? Oh, let's see. If I was to say the cheapest of the 4 it might be number 1. It's a pasta. Pasta is kind of expensive, so it's when you go to, let's say we go to Olive Garden, you can get a good pasta there, and with the salad, with the breadsticks, what, $15? Soup is probably going to be under about 4 or 5. The third one, if it's a dessert, it looks like it's probably If that's the main meal, it might be $10 to $12. And the last one, number 4, if that is an egg dish, that's $8 or $9. So I would say the cheapest of the group would be, based on money, to save money, would be number 2. So we would go with the soup. I'm trying to save money. What meal would we recommend? We would say the number 2, the soup, and explain why we kind of just did that, because soup seems to be less expensive than main dishes. Okay. And the last one, I want to post a nice picture of it online. Okay. If you looked at those, which one would you pick for the nicest picture? I'll give you a second. I should have given you a second to do all of these yet. Based on pictures, number 1's not bad. Number 2 is it's definitely a Japanese soup. So I would kind of wonder what all those things that were in that soup. And number 3, still not knowing exactly what it is. It's not a bad picture. Color-wise, it's kind of plain. And look at number 4. 4 has got good color to it. It seems to make you want to just dig in and eat it. So I would probably go with number 4. Let's see what the answer sheet says. It's number 4. It's the prettiest because it has the best colors. All right. So good. So we figured that out. Now let's go with the next one. We will base our question or our answers on. Let's see. How about the price-wise? Price is pretty easy to tell. You can go with prices based on which one you want the most, or which one is the cheapest if you're going for cheap. Nutrition. Okay. Nutrition. Here are the nutritious facts of all of these. So let's do the nutrition portion. Okay. So take a good look at the nutrition portion. And number 1, in fact, let's do that. Let's skip the nutrition portion and let's go to the actual recipe. The recipe itself, it kind of gives everything away in the recipe portion. So it's a little easier to judge, a little easier to tell. We'll use this one. Okay, if I'm allergic to eggs, okay, so we're looking at I'm allergic to eggs. We can look at the menus or the actual recipes based on the menu and see which one has the most eggs. 2 has 2 eggs in it. 4 has 6 eggs in it. And 3 has 4 egg yolks. So we could go by and look at that based on the menu, the recipe for the recipe itself. Which one would we recommend? We'd recommend probably number 1 because it has no eggs in it at all. Okay, and if you remember, that was the tortilla dish. We'll scroll back down again so you can see it. And number 1 is the tortilla dish. Okay, so that one is supposed to have less sodium in it. Okay, so let's go to, now again, we're basing it on data that we see. Right now, or the first one, we based it on what we saw with our eyes. Now we are basing it on what we see in the actual recipe items of what is inside each item. Okay, my doctor says to eat less sodium. Okay, based on what we see here in the recipes themselves, which one has less sodium? Let's see, the first one. I'm not seeing any sodium there. The second one. Okay, for those of you who don't know, soy sauce has a lot of sodium. Soy sauce has, it's quite a bit of sodium, and that's one thing that my wife makes me stay away from. So no sodium or no soy sauce for me. We go to order sushi, I have to stay away from the soy sauce. And what good is sushi without soy sauce? But anyway, okay, so we are looking at the recipes. Okay, so the other one, number 3, yeah, let's look down that menu. 1/2 cup of salt. Are you kidding me? Half a cup of salt's a lot of salt. So we would definitely skip that one. And the last one, salt and pepper. So salt and pepper is definitely in the menu. Based on what you see, what do you think? Less sodium would probably be number one. And number one, everything else has eggs in it. Um, I'm sorry, we're doing the sodium. It seems like it has less salty stuff. They based it on 4. Now, why would they base it on 4? If we go back and look at 1, because I would have said 1, maybe they're thinking tortilla chips has a lot of sodium in it. Um, I guess that must be what they're basing it on. The tortilla chips versus salt and pepper. Maybe they figure it's just a dash in the eggs. I don't know, but that's what their answer is number 4. So we will go with number 4 with number 1, maybe our way of leaning to what we see in data. Now, do we have to all agree with it? Not necessarily. Remember, you're basing it on data that you see, data that you use. Now, the data that I would have used, again, I would have gone with number 1. So, doesn't always agree with everything that comes out in the answer. Okay, let's go with the last one or the second one. I'm trying to save money. Can we really tell based on the menu and the recipe items that are in that menu whether we're going to save money or not? Not really. Not a lot of information there. You can base it on maybe what you see in the menu as far as which would be the most expensive. So let's do that real quick. Number 1, chicken. So chicken would be a meat, definitely meat in something. Salsa, cheese. Cheese is not cheap. And tortilla chips. Okay, that's, might be so much. Number 2, 2 eggs, cup of chicken stock, soy sauce. Again, we're using cooked chicken, so that might be kind of a little expensive side. 3, 5 cups of meat sauce. Okay, so there's a lot of money right there. And number 4, we're simply using garlic, red peppers, chili, tomatoes, salt and pepper, and eggs. So eggs the most expensive thing. I would probably go with number 4. And let's take a look at the answer. Number 4, meat is, again, their reasoning is the same as ours. Meat is expensive, and that doesn't have meat in it. Okay. And the last one, I want to post a nice picture of it online based on what you see in the menu item. Now you're just looking at the menu items, the recipes. What do you think would be the nicest looking? Remember, you're using the data that's in front of you, not the pictures. So forget what we saw in the pictures. You're looking at the data in front of you. Tortilla chips, salsa. I always think of a nice big plate of nachos when you say that. That could be a good picture. Olives, guacamole, sour cream. Now I'm getting hungry. Okay, let's move on. Next one, 2 eggs, a cup of chicken stock. There's not a lot to look at there. Again, that's the soup. Okay, the third one, 5 cups of meat sauce, 1 stick of unsalted butter. Again, I would say that is more or less, something that based on what I see in the menu items or the recipe items, it's not one that I would take a picture of. And number 4, 6 olives, 1 large sweet red pepper, diced chili pepper, tomatoes, salt and pepper, 6 eggs. Depending on whether you're mixing it up or not. Now remember, we don't know what it looks like. We're basing it on what we see here in the recipe. I don't know that would be a good combination. 6 eggs, it doesn't tell you that the eggs are scrambled or over easy or what they are exactly. So I would go with, and I hope that you would lean that way too, probably number 1. Again, nachos. I'm thinking tortilla chips, chopped chicken, onions, salsa, shredded cheese, and then I would throw guacamole and sour cream on top. I would say that would be the one I'd take a picture of. And according to code.org, they also recommended number 1 because it seems like nachos and nacho pictures are always the best. Okay, so that's what they based it on. Now, this is just 2 of the 4 things. Now, the other 2 items we could have done were nutrition value based on nutrition. Which would you have chose for those? And you can go ahead and do that on your own if you'd like. did send you this activity guide. So if you want to go ahead and um, try and do some on your own, you're more than welcome to. The picture is also there with you so that you can judge by what you see in the pictures. So go ahead and do it on your own for the other two if you'd like. And once you've done that, you have got a good idea of what data does, how data helps us to draw conclusions based on different special needs that we have. So I hope you enjoyed this one. We'll be starting on lesson 2 next. So if you'd like to join me in lesson 2, feel free to do so. Thank you. Have fun with it. Have a great day.